Hello guys and welcome to all new Couches. So today we're going to be talking about a time when violent games were available for everybody.
And we will be defeating the warriors of the mighty arm. So stay
Stick
tuned.
around.
We'll be right back.
We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys, to another Couchizode. We hope that you had a great week. We certainly did so. And after the weekend, what else to start this wonderful Wednesday with? Well, I mean, it's not going to be the start of it; it's going to be the end. Might for some of you, depends on where you're watching. But welcome. That's what we want to bring to you: a whole new set of old and moldy games, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing tonight.
So, you need to be nicer to people. Just say welcome. Sit on the couch, bring a friend, enjoy it.
Fine, okay, bring a friend, enjoy it. I mean, isn't that the whole purpose of the thing that we're doing right here?
Exactly.
So shut up and let me continue. Okay? Thank you very much. Thank you very much, guys. So, first game of the night. And it's one of those that we simply have to pay our respect to because it's one of those game franchises that originated a long time back, or well, maybe not a long time back, but some time back, and it's already worthy to come into the couch. So what are we going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about the original Grand Theft Auto 1997 for MS-DOS and Windows, and this was developed by DMA Design and published by BMG Interactive in Europe. Now, obviously, that GTA is a reference in the video game industry, but the concept that we see today of GTA was actually slightly different than what it was on its first iteration. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. We want to let you know a little bit on how this was and how different it was from what you young kids know about GTA. So let's go right into it. So it was developed by DMA Design, now known by everyone as Rockstar Games. In its very own action-adventure style, GTA started to be a top-down perspective game where the objective was to become a successful criminal by performing a set of tasks requested by the local crime lords. Now, while climbing the ranks of the underworld, we would have to travel between three different cities that, although their names were fictional, they were very much based in major cities in the United States. So obviously Liberty City was New York, San Andreas was San Francisco, and Vice City was Miami. I particularly like the Vice City, reference with Miami because it always reminds me of the 80s series, Miami Vice. So I'm guessing that's exactly how, Rockstar got the idea for it. But if they didn't, I claim the ownership of that. Anyways. So before diving into the action that will extend itself for 6 levels, we would start by choosing one of the 8 characters available on the selection screen, although this was totally irrelevant in terms of the game progress and will only work as a cosmetic element. Now, during each of these levels, we have several jobs available that we have to complete for the local mob. These jobs can be picked up by approaching one of the public payphones and receiving the instructions coming from the other side of the line. The progression is linear, but the jobs can be done in whatever order we want to. The ultimate objective, obviously, is to reach a target number of points. However, if you feel that you're running short on those, you can always run side hustles like, for example, completing extra missions that are available or simply wreaking havoc in the city or selling stolen cars, hence the name Grand Theft Auto. Those are some of the ways that you can actually earn points in the game. Aside from the jobs themselves, there's always the possibility to roam around the map freely, and I guess that's one of the main characteristics that originated in so many games that we see now. The free roam modes, the open universe modes or scenarios that games have. And this was one of the characteristics at that time of GTA. So we have to understand that although we are allowed to roam to the map freely, we have a limited number of lives, and if all of these are exhausted, we have to start the whole level from the beginning. So pay attention to the level of wanted that you have while performing some of the actions, because that can get you in trouble and you might need to restart the level. So the PC version had also the possibility of multiplayer through the IPX protocol. Not sure if you know about that. I used to have IPX SPX communication protocol, and it was used for peer-to-peer connection when you wanted to use your computer to play with your friends over network. So Initially, the game was supposed to be called Race and Chase, and the concept was having a simple, let's say, a simple police car chasing criminals. Something that was, considered to be out of place, because in the video game industry, this was something that was already very, very explored. A police car chasing criminals. That's it. 2 expansions were released in 1999 that placed the action in 1916's England, Grand Theft Auto London 1969, and then Grand Theft Auto London 1961. Now, besides its legacy that it's very known to all of us to this day, GTA was one of the first, if not the first game to get a lot of heat due to its violence. Although the game was never praised by its graphics, it was the theme behind its playability that made it a commercial success. From getting extra points for running over a group of nuns with a car, to getting more reputation for being able to evade the police with high numbers after you. All of this contributed to the start of many political and social discussions about video game violence. GTA was or is still banned in many countries. For example, Germany had banned almost all the games of the GTA series and had censored versions released. According to Wikipedia, this ban was lifted into 2012, but for a long period of time, these games were actually unavailable in their original versions for the German public. So Japan, for example, massively edited the game and made hundreds of changes to specific missions, dialogues, graphics in order to make it less violent for the public. There's actually a very nice video of, I don't know, the YouTuber, I'll try to find it, I'll put it right there as a reference card, but there's a video that shows the differences between GTA 4 in Japan and in Europe, or, even the US version, and there were so many things that were removed, parts of dialogue that could give the impression that the dialogue was going to be violent, including the money that was on the floor, the image of the money running on the floor when someone would die and you would pick it up. This was also changed in the Japanese version, so there's actually a very nice video that explains all of that. Once again, according to Wikipedia, for example, Malaysia has still banned to this day, as well as many other games from Rockstar, such as Manhunt and other games, for example, Mortal Kombat. So, to this day, Malaysia has no access to GTA, or according to the Wikipedia, has no access to the GTA games due to their violence. And so, I mean, I couldn't find any digital version of this online, although the game is featured on Rockstar Games' website. I couldn't really find anywhere where you could buy it. Like, it's available on Steam also as a page, as a community page, but you cannot really buy the game from there. So, it's still widely available. I mean, even, boxed copies, you can still find them on eBay for relatively, decent prices. But the game itself, Uncle Google to the rescue, and it will help you find it. But, I mean, this is how it all started. It was so different from what it is today in some ways. But still a great game. I spent many hours in GTA 2. Curiously enough, GTA 3, I believe, on the Xbox, the original Xbox. It was Vice City. Vice City, I believe. Vice City that I did play on the Xbox, the original Xbox. Other than that, I mean, we all know GTA 5 is the one of the, most acclaimed, video games of the time. I mean, some people would say that it's about time that Rockstar gets a new version out, or a GTA 6, but apparently that's not going to happen as per what we've seen on the showcase of PlayStation 5 and the Xbox One X and S. So I mean, Series X and Series S, sorry about that, just got messed up.
I'm still going to stick to my theory that Rockstar actually based GTA, or the concept, on a very early Spectrum game from Portugal, so just watch the episode.
We'll put it right there where we talked about Paradise Cafe.
Yeah.
But again, it could have some of inspiration behind it, but GTA evolved to something a lot bigger than that. And if that was the case, then well, I mean, I guess it was a well implemented idea, and it is what it is, because we already all know the legacy of Grand Theft Auto. So, Blade, enough about this. We spent a lot of time talking about such a classic game. So what is with you today that you're going to bring to us next?
So I'm just going to strong arm
Strong arm.
Oh yeah.
Arm wrestling.
Yeah, exactly. From 1985 in the arcades. This game was developed by Nintendo, and this was a really fun game to play in an arcade, because you had this very simple arcade with 2 screens. One on top with basically the information of the game, the points you had, that was the money basically. and who you were facing, who you were arm wrestling, and just the guy holding a bag of money to motivate you. And then on the main screen, you just had this guy in front of you. You had to face, and you had one stick and one button. That was it.
Yep.
And at some point, it really got intense. Not on the first few ones, but as you evolved, this really got a bit intense, because you started with Texas Mac, if I recall. It was this guy with a cowboy hat. It was really easy to beat him. Then you would have a sumo wrestler. I think it was called Kabuki or Kabuki. I think it was Kabuki, if I'm not mistaken. Then you had a masked guy that was Mask X. Then you had the robot ape that came along with Alice, and you had to face them. And then you just had Frankenstein Jr. And after you beat him, it would just start all over again. Well, the game was quite simple. It's just basically arm wrestling. You just have to beat your opponent in an arm wrestling match. But the idea behind it was awesome. And the simplicity they put it on this machine of just having one stick, and you just keep pushing it to your side. And at some point you really have to hit that button to get that extra kick in, so you could beat your opponent. And at some point you just had to move the arm in the opposite direction just to knock down or distract your opponent, so you could gain an advantage. This really had some strategy involved at some point, because you really had to be on the lookout for what to do and then take advantage of it on the right moment. And it was a really fun game. And a few years later, there was this different arm wrestling game on the arcades that you actually had an arm in the machine.
Yeah, I was
took it to a whole another level.
That's exactly the one I remember from this. I mean, I don't even know it's from this series, but it didn't, because this was. I remember the graphics of that game were a lot more like Neo Geo MAME style of graphics. You know, like
it was completely different.
It was already like well done 16 bits, and it had an arm on it. And I remember playing this in local fairs or something like that. Anything that had an arcade house or something like that. It was there, and and it was. I mean, I was a kid. Obviously, I would never win most of the battles or the arm wrestling fights. I mean, I don't think I even got after the first enemy or the first opponent or something like that. So, but anyways, I do remember it. It was quite fun.
It was cool.
It was very nice. I didn't play this one. I gotta check it out. I mean, if it was just with a stick, I'm assuming that you just have to move it sideways until No,
you usually just have to move it like. If you're pushing the opponent's arm this way, just keep moving it like this.
Just keep tapping.
And then at some point, you just need to do it the opposite way, just to knock your opponent off balance. And then you just have to press the button to just take advantage. All right.
Gotta try that one.
Really cool.
Gotta try that one. So we're gonna move out to the next game. And we mentioned ZX Spectrum, or you mentioned ZX Spectrum, and obviously I had a ZX Spectrum game here today. To talk about, and
such an awesome machine.
Quite of a known one, and I guess that this one, and I apologize for those that are don't really understand Portuguese or Spanish for that matter, that might not be able to play this game, as this was a specific Spanish release of a game that I actually liked a lot, and I had it available, and I think it was one of those games that actually got me into the adventure genres, and we already talked about another Spectrum game here a couple couch episodes back. The game I'm going to be talking about is called La Abadia del Crimen, and it's from 1987. It's for the ZX Spectrum.
That was a cool one.
Yes, it was developed and published by Operasoft. Now, this was based on Umberto Eco's book, The Name of the Rose. I mean, which actually had a great movie with Sean Connery and Christian Slater in the main roles. I actually saw that movie so many times, and I still like it very much. So, La Abadia del Crimen, or The Crime Abbey, as the title translates from Spanish, takes us on a Sherlock Holmes-style adventure of a Franciscan friar called William of Ockham, which is directly related to William of Baskerville in the book from Umberto Eco, and his novice Azzo to discover the one behind the series of murders in an Italian abbey. Now, in the game, we can control the movements of both Friar Williams and Azzo. They can be controlled separately or together to achieve a number of objectives that consist in acquiring specific objects to complete the game. This game has a lot of dialogue text happening whenever you encounter some characters in the Abbey, or even some of the instructions on what you have to do after. So the dialogue does provide quite a helpful experience on what to do next. The game is a top-down, isometric view with 3D isometric graphics also to give you a further sensation of depth, something that was very commonly used in games like this.
At some point in the
yeah, exactly. It was, it was just basically going around the limitations of the spectrum, but still providing great graphical quality for that time. To bring a little bit more realism into the game, as William enters the Abbey, he is told by the abbot that he needs to obey all rules of the same, such as attend all religious services, meals, and not leave his quarters at night. So this was kind of a rule that they had, and this was also described in the movie. Disobeying some of these orders will reduce the level of obsequium, or which means the level of subservience that is displayed on the bottom right corner of the screen, and when fully depleted you will be expelled from the Abbey and it's game over. Leaving your quarters at night, for example, grants immediate expulsion, which will end the game and you'll have to start all over again. Despite being a great game, and I do have a very fond recollection of this game when I was a child, it was, and even some critics considering like the best 8-bit games for 8-bit game for home computers, it was actually never a commercial success, and it was never sold outside of Spain. So this, as I said, and I asked earlier, sorry if you guys will try to play this game, and obviously you might not be able to understand what they're saying, but again, if you do have that opportunity, it's one of those great games that it really needs to be explored. It's very well done in terms of color palette, in terms of sound effects. I think that nothing like really cool special game, but a great game, and I remember spending a lot of time with it and playing it, so definitely worth a try. And it's a nice adventure game. You will find that it's a nice adventure game with some really nice details about it, especially on the tasks that you have to complete. So I hope that this one you will be enjoying, and you already know our Uncle Google can help you find this game over the waves of the interwebs. Right, Blade?
Right.
Very good. So I think it's time for us to lighten up the smell, right?
Everyone is just thinking right now, you promised us a jingle at some point.
I did.
Where's our jingle?
I did. The guy that is making it for us is in final production stages. We are now about to just do the video part of the intro for this.
Oh, it will have an extra video part.
Exactly. We'll try. We're going to be working on the video of this small, let's say, snippet, and then we're going to be syncing it with the music and stuff like that.
Everyone knows he's doing this in utter secrecy. We don't know what's happening there.
No, exactly. Nobody in this channel knows yet. It's just me who's bringing up the project, and when it's done, I'll present it to them, and hopefully it will be with you very soon. But enough about that. Blade, let's go right into the last game of the night and our air freshener moment.
Yes, and this is quite a good one that I'm actually bringing it up just at this point because I played this on the Nintendo Switch and I just ended it recently, and I just can't recommend this enough. The game I'm going to talk about is Owlboy. It was originally released in 2016 for the PC. I think it was released the year after on the Mac, and in 2018 it was basically released everywhere else. And I got to play this on the Nintendo Switch. And this is basically a platformer game, if you want to simplify the idea. But in this game, you play this character called Otis, and he's part of a race that is just a mix between humans and owls that are basically called owls anyway. And there's this particular thing about them that they can't fly like an owl can, but they have these special cloaks that will allow them to fly. But Otis just can't be very good at it, and is just scolded by his people. And you actually use him as a hero, and he's a mute in the story. He doesn't speak. And he has to interact with a lot of characters during the game. And what you basically are doing in this game is that you get your home city invaded by pirates, and you're just going to rescue it. It's that simple of a story. And the gameplay is different from a lot of games that I've played in this genre, because you actually play a character with more movement freedom, you can actually fly with him, and you have these basic movesets that just won't get you to the end of the game. You need help. So you will make friends along the way that you will actually pick up with your claws and just move them with you. So you can actually have these different actions and use different strategies at some points, and you can actually pick up items and solve puzzles in the game using this method. And this really has a nice touch to the game. You just don't have a character that you keep swapping weapons or whatever. You just have these friends that you will interact with and just make part of your adventure to reach the goal. And they're actually very important in every level, because you will need to use them strategically to get past those levels, those challenges, and to beat the bosses. The other thing is, this game looks absolutely stunning graphically, because the art style they use recalls us back to the 16-bit era, but there's just so many details there that if you give this game a chance, you will just love it, because it's amazing.
I don't know the game, I've never played it, but definitely looking at the graphical art of it, it does give me that feel of the 16 bits on the arcades, actually, more than just the consoles. And it has this type of
very polished.
I don't know, it's that type of metal slug type of assets, like very metal, industrial, and like stuff like that. I was just looking at the game, obviously, from a gameplay perspective. I haven't played it yet, but it does really have this polished look, and it seems to have an amazing soundtrack as per what I've listened. Never tried it, but I guess that this is one of those very good ones that we need to bring up.
There's also one other thing, that in this game they actually took it all the way to make it really appealing, and all the characters in this game just have these reactions, and they react to whatever is happening, and the dialogues are just well written. There was a lot of commitment put into this game to make something that really looked this good and made such a good game, so I just can't recommend this enough. It's really a great game.
No, I will give it a go, and I hope you guys also, because it looks amazing. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm a sucker for this type of stories, and especially if it's a good platformer, then it's awesome. So much the better. So that's what we have to try. What else do you guys have to try? You guys have to try liking our channel. You thought we forgot.
Just try it.
Just try it. It doesn't hurt. It's free, and it helps us a lot. So you guys know what to do. Leave a like if you like. Leave a dislike if you didn't like. Consider, or not, even better, just subscribe our channel. We would love to consider it. Just don't consider it. Just do it. We would love to keep bringing this content to you guys, and hopefully we'll be able to see each other next week, as always, for some extra level of old and moldy. And we'll see each other next week, as I just said. And game on.
See everyone next week. Have a great week and have fun, everyone. Game on.